Riders, fitness enthusiasts, I am absolutely in love with my new Garmin Forerunner 955. Yes, this is a running watch. However, you could use it for moto, and this is something that I wish I had when I was racing professionally, because it would have brought me to the next level. As of right now, I'm using it to train for some Spartan races and some other obstacle races like Tough Mudder, etc. And this bad boy packs a mighty big punch. So this is the first time that I spent over $500 for a fitness watch, and I wish I would have done it a freaking long time ago, especially now that I'm getting more into hard training wise. I upgraded from a 245, which was last year's model. This is the 955. You can see it's quite a bit bigger. You have 47 millimeter screen versus a 42, which I thought might have been too big, but it doesn't look that bad on my wrist, and if I was to ride with it, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Or I could put it on the handlebar and it would be easier to see. I'll go into some of the settings that I have. This isn't a full-blown like review. This is mainly what I use this watch for and what riders and then just fitness enthusiasts would want to use as far as training goes for. So a lot of people that I've talked to are like, hey, should I get the 255, which is the upgraded version of this, or the 955? You're going like $350 to $500 to $600. I say don't go with the solar. This guy is at right now 20% battery, and I'm going on day 12 of this dude just on this charge alone. So I've heard that the solar gives it like an extra day, but you have to be outside for 3+ hours, and the screen doesn't look it's not as good of a resolution there. So I wouldn't do that. But if you're looking for just something a little bit cheaper for riding, the 255 I think would be great. The only difference is this one would have 32 gigabytes of memory and the newer version would have 4, and this guy has much more in-depth features when it comes to navigation, and this guy's just kind of what's loaded on your phone. So for that, if you can, I would opt for the 955. I'm the type of guy that likes to buy the best that I can afford, and this is the closest you can get to the premium watch set from Garmin, their Phoenix 7, etc. And they've got a lot of cool features in here, which I'll go over. So the way I've got mine set up, just briefly, is I've got the weather. The bar below it is my body battery. I've got the time in the middle. The bar below that is the watch battery. Then I've got elevation. Wind is 3 miles an hour and it's going north. And then we've got 35% humidity here in Arizona. I've got my heart rate. And on the side, I've got a activity bar of where I want to be for the week. This guy needs to fill up for my activity minutes. I've got the date, and then I've got the sunrise and sunset, and then I've got steps right here. But if I'm looking at training wise, the first thing that I have set up is what I've done for the week, which is history. I've ran 3 times, and then I've done a, CrossFit workout 1 time the last 4. And you could click on that guy and it'll show you your activities, which is pretty cool. But we'll go more in depth. The VO2 max guy I think is great. It gives you an estimate of what you would do as far as running wise if you were to run, since this is a fitness watch main for running. But I will tell you a little trick that you could do for riding as well in a program that I have set up just for riding. And the next thing is training status, which is saying that I've been productive. If I click on this guy, and pretty much what the training status features, one of the main reasons why I bought this watch was for some of the added features here, is this guy has your acute load, your HRV status, your heat and altitude, performance, acclimation, and it all wraps it up and it lets you know where you really are and where it's headed. And the acute load, if I scroll down on this guy, I like this guy that it's a touchscreen. You can use the buttons and turn them off during activity, but the touchscreen's kind of nice. I don't super care for it. I mainly use the buttons, but the acute load is the actual load measured combined by stress on your body from your activities over the last 7 days. and it lets you know, hey, should I be kind of taking it back a little bit? And the last couple days I've been taking it easy because I had a couple hard workouts that I did. So if I click on this guy, it's going to tell me my acute load. And you can see the green area is really where I want to be for training wise. And if I was getting ready for a race, I would want to make sure that this guy is pretty low so that I could bounce back up there. But you could see that I was fairly high, and the last couple days it's going down, which is good. So the next setting is this load focus. This is mainly one of the reasons why I bought this watch, as it goes over anaerobic, high aerobic, and low aerobic. So just brief, what you need to know is anaerobic means without oxygen. So this purple line of 115, that is sprints. This is 15 seconds or less. Your body really doesn't need a whole lot of oxygen to run really fast or haul ass for a quarter of a lap, a small section, right? The next deal is the 749, which is the majority of my training. And this is my lactic threshold VO2 max. This is high intensity, yet what my body can do for a long period of time with oxygen. And 494 is low aerobic, meaning what my body can do, again, with oxygen, because anaerobic means without, aerobic means with, if you can just think of that. Anaerobic exercises are sort of like building strength and muscle, but again, it's short sprints. That's why a sprinter is incredibly built, and then an endurance athlete is not Greek goddish per se. I would say 494 is doing a phone-in moto where you're way out front. You don't really need to push yourself that much. Your heart rate is within the 140 to 150 range, and it's something that you could withstand for an hour or more type of activity. The yellow is something under an hour where you're really, really pushing yourself, ideally 20, 30 minutes. And then 115 here, as far as anaerobic, I'm looking at stuff like 10 to 15 seconds. But this watch tells you what that load is, which is pretty dang cool, and the next part of this is the VO2 max, which is cool. Just kind of tells you where you are for your age and what you're doing, which is nice to know. And a way to improve that is you have to have really high intensity workouts. The next one is this HRV status, which is saying 76 milliseconds. This is my 7-day average. I don't have a full-blown reading on my HRV, which is heart rate variability, because I haven't had this watch for a total of 19 days. I might do another video to show you guys what it is, but typically higher the better, because the lower it is, it's indicating a lot of stress in your life, stress on your body, and you're better off having a higher number. There is basically where I've looked at it. So, you want to have a high number here. If not, you need to figure out what's kind of going on in your life. If you're overtraining, overworking out, lots of stresses, then you need to look at that. And this next one, which is pretty cool, it accurately kind of tells me how I'm feeling, is this recovery. Saying it's going to be 37 hours for me to recover. Most watches will have this feature, but that's just something that I do like. So let's get out of training status here. The next one is training readiness, and it's telling me I'm low. And this is a good indication that how I'm feeling. I definitely feel like a 38 out of 100 right now. Is I'm not ready to push myself. I pushed myself really hard the last couple of days, and I need to recover. So this is one of the things that, again, I'm super stoked about this watch and this new feature, is if you've been pushing really hard, you do not want to go into a race with this guy being in the orange. You want it to be close to the purple so that you can just have it WFO and kick everyone's ass. That's the plan. So this guy is telling you to chill the F out and kick your feet up, right? I think I might go for a little run later today for 3 to 5 miles, but it's not going to be at a very high pace. But again, I'm training for something else. If I was on the bike, I might be riding the bike and just do a 15-minute moto kind of a thing, just go through the motions. And the next feature of that, why I absolutely really love this deal, is the race calendar. And here I put in the Tough Mudder. This is here coming up here in Arizona, and it literally tells me what training I should be doing for that guy. Yeah, take this with a grain of salt, but you could turn this into, as far as riding the dirt bike, where you're just going easy. So today it's telling me a base 9:35 minute mile for 30 minutes. If I was to transfer that over to the dirt bike or cycling or something, I would keep the time the same, and I would say, hey, I'm not pushing myself that much. I'm going to keep my heart rate around 140, 150, and then the next day, what's it telling me? Same thing. And then on Sunday, I was saying, okay, so maybe I'm going to do 2 30-minute motos on this guy at a decent pace, right? But this was if I was training for an outdoor motocross, so you just could kind of adapt it the way you want to there. I really like that feature because it's going to tell you when to rest and when you shouldn't be riding the motorcycle. So if I exit out of this guy, and I created a profile called Motocross here, which is going to use the GPS, and it actually says that the incident detection is unsupported. That's great. I get it. But all I have here is I have my total time, and then I have my lap times, because it's going to tell me once I pass, it's going to create a path for me, and then every lap I go by, it'll doom, 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 doom. So the top would be like, hey, I'm doing a 30-minute moto, where I have going. The next one is saying where my last lap time was, and then you could see my heart rate from there as far as what it's actually doing at the moment. I think that is super cool, and that's the way I have set up these watches for when it comes to riding dirt bikes. And really, guys, this sucker is miles ahead of stuff that you could get anywhere else. And this is a training tool that you could use to get an edge on your competition. And I wish I would have listened to some people close to me, mainly Coach Rob. I wish I had somebody like that knew the ins and outs of really training, because if I look at my readiness, I was always just pinned to the max, and then when I'd show up at the races, I was way overtrained, and it didn't help me whatsoever. And I would say, in closing, this darn watch is something that I think you should be putting on your Christmas list. The 255 at least, the 955 if you're a vet rider and you can afford, $550. I think you will love it. It tells you about sleep and all sorts of stuff. The navigation on it is great. This was an incredible in-depth review. I could do more for you guys, but those are mainly the reasons as to why I decided to go with a high-dollar Garmin watch. And this sucker, I even bought Garmin stock because of it, but I digress. This is Johnny F. and Hopper. Till next time, keep it WFO. Bra-da-da-da-da-whoa!